everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where today, guys, we're going to be doing our Blue Jays Today show, talking about everything Toronto Blue Jays related, a bunch of different roster moves and updates that are going on right now with this team, some more trade rumors that are happening, because you already know that everything is going to be heating up to that August 1st deadline, and then obviously walking into Seattle, losing the first two, but just coming out with the W, like legitimately 15 minutes ago to salvage the week and looking at the week ahead. Tons of stuff to talk about and more. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlogan.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And yeah, guys, that was a nail-biter. It felt like all those games in Seattle were just playoff atmosphere level kind of stuff. So, I mean, hey, it was a good test for the boys. It really feels like even after coming off a hot couple weeks around the All-Star break, those were some big tests against the Padres and the Mariners. We'll break down that and more and also look at the future week ahead. But let's talk about what you said right there, Nick. There's some trade rumors, there's some rumblings, and a lot of these Blue Jay fans, we got to see our former friend this past weekend, Teoscar Hernandez, and a lot of people were like, man, wouldn't it be nice to get Teoscar Hernandez back, hitting off walk-off home runs and everything?
It would be phenomenal, right? Man, and I mean, that walk-off loss obviously sucked, right? Like, that one was a heartbreaker. But it had to be Teo. You know, he really did have to be Teo, and that was his I'm him moment. That was the redemption that I feel like he needed, you know, just to show the team and be like, you know, remember me? Remember that guy that you traded away? I'm still here, man, and even though this is a down year for me, I can still produce. He was on a show later on, and effectively he said, talking about the offseason, talking about the trade deadline, that he'd be open to potentially coming back to Toronto. That, I mean, he loves the Toronto Blue Jays. He liked Toronto. I mean, he was on Sportsnet 590s, Blair and Barker right there, their show. Sorry, Adam, just flip it
over, yeah.
But yeah, just literally hours before it, and said, it's for me, I'm not going to, sorry, scroll down. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no. And that is like a phenomenal thing to hear, man, because obviously Teoscar Hernandez is an incredible baseball player in his own right. But just the clubhouse presence that he would bring for these dudes would be phenomenal.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit of fantasy land. Obviously, it's going to grab some, you know, headliners when he's like, I wouldn't say no to be returning to Toronto, you know, even if it's after this season, right? But then again, you get yourself in the question of the Toronto Blue Jays. The same reason why we traded him is because we, you know, not to be a negative Nancy, it's like the reason why we traded him because we probably thought we we're not going to sign him long term because he's probably going to command something, in, you know, if he has a good finish of the year, produces 100 RBIs, like, you could look at that $20 million average annual value and probably lock it in for a few years. So I don't know if that's on the plate of the Toronto Blue Jays, especially when you also make another trade in the offseason, getting Dalton Varsho. You have him for 2 more years. You know, you're going to put him on the bench. What are you going to do with him? What are you going to do about Kevin Kiermaier? Like, George Springer's still there. So bit of a logjam for a guy you're spending $20 million on. But I agree. It's fun for fantasy land. It's really fun.
I actually kind of disagree with you. I think that
really?
Yeah, I do. Because, again, like, at this point, you're not thinking about signing him back. Sure, you trade him away and you bring somebody in, and because at that point, yes, you are thinking, well, we're probably not going to get this guy long term, we do need more relievers, but now you're in a position where you're 10 games above 500, and the only goal is to make it as far as we can in this season. And Teoscar Hernandez could potentially help making it further along in this season. Yeah,
I was referring to the offseason signing. But
the offseason, maybe not.
Yeah, offseason, no. We're not going to be going for that man because we trade him away because we're not going to sign him back. But for this season, sure.
I think it does make sense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but does it make sense for the Mariners? Because now they're starting to push a little bit. You know, they're actually, like before this game, they were 3.5 games back from that next wild card spot. Now they're, I guess it'd be 4.5, depending on some other guys, how they end. But yeah, I mean, they're dancing. So I don't know if they're going to be selling Teo in next week.
It's going to be an interesting one, man. There's a lot of these teams that are right on the bubble. You got the Mariners, you got the Padres. I mean, hell, the Yankees are never going to sell, but like they're there too, right? And all these teams that are talented rosters, a lot of players that other teams would covet and would want. But they're going to need to make that decision for themselves. Like, are we going to sell off a few of our pieces? I am leaning towards the side of maybe they don't want to do that. I feel like they're just close enough where it's like they could absolutely buy some more guys, and we saw it right now. I mean, they can contend with us, they can compete with us, they can beat us. You know, so it's like they are a good team, and if everything goes their way, then they could definitely be in that mix. 1 game above 500, so we'll have to see, man. But I'm definitely not taking it off the table. You know, I think that you do make that phone call if you're Toronto and you ask them about it. Hey, man, we love Teo. Let's have him back.
Why not? Why not? That'd be a lot of fun. In other news, guys, that's pretty fun. I'm glad that he's still kind of recognizing Toronto as a fun team. You know, a former team. In other news, guys, we got to talk about the news that came out this morning. I mean, we all know about the trade for Genesis Cabrera. Thank you guys for the correction on that on my video. you had to make some room for him. We were talking Mitch White, we were talking Trent Thorne for the DFA. It was end up being Trent Thorne. He was in the minor leagues. So you DFA Trent Thorne, you bring in Cabrera, but you still got to put him on that major league roster. And the man they decide to get off the roster was Nate Pearson.
Yeah,
now, let's just break this down a little bit. I know he's been struggling as of late, but what do you think about demoting Nate Pearson of all guys?
No, it kind of sucks because I was really starting to look at Nate Pearson as being one of the guys, right? Like, he was one of the dudes in the middle of that pen, and for at least the first half of the season, he was pretty dominant, man. He was pretty lights out, and it's really only been recently, the past month, effectively, where you've seen that ERA kind of creep over the 4 mark, and I didn't even notice, to be completely honest. I literally didn't even notice. I was still thinking about Nate Pearson as being that, 1.5, 2 ERA guy.
Right.
And now apparently not. He's got a 4.75 ERA, a negative .3 WAR.
That's kind of wild, to be honest.
And now he's back down in AAA Buffalo, right? So it's really interesting to see that he was the dude that they picked to do this, especially because Genesis Cabrera, he hasn't even been that good so far this season.
He's definitely worse.
He's been worse than Nate Pearson. So very clearly, they see something that other people do not in Cabrera. Maybe he just was not being utilized appropriately over there in St. Louis, and Pete Walker's thinking, hey, this is a project and I know the answer to this one. I hope so, because those numbers on paper doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I know. If you're really clearing your former number 1 overall prospect, who's been a pretty vital part of the pen, throwing upper 90s fastballs, you have flamethrower back there. If you're taking him out for this guy, who on paper isn't looking good, he had potential. That was the word from St. Louis fans. This guy had a lot of potential back in the day and just kind of fell off the table. So, again, I'm hoping that Nate Pierce or that Peter Walker has something for Cabrera. And I think also the reason why they got rid of Nate Pearson in the first place is because he's a guy that actually had an option left. You look at the team, you still got to make some more moves. We're going to talk about another move that's going to be potential coming up soon. You got Mitch White. You'd have to DFA him. Cabrera, obviously, just add him for Nate Pearson. Jay Jackson, he's got to move. You could send him down, but he's been pretty darn good as of late for those Toronto Blue Jays. You can't get rid of Richards. You're not going to send Meza or any of these guys in the top down. So, yeah, I guess you're just going to flex that option from Nate Pearson. Bring him back up a little bit later. Maybe he works something out down in AAA Buffalo. Man,
I really hope, though, that Genesis Cabrera actually shows something because, again, on paper, just looking at the stats, I'm not a pitching coach, so I don't know, but just looking at the two guys next to each other, even though Nate Pearson has been struggling recently, Nate Pearson is still doing better than you are. So to send him down for this other guy, it really, it poses a lot of questions as to, what the hell are we doing,
For me, I guess this is an experiment right now, until we get some other guys like Chad Green back.
Right.
If you can unlock something, all right, cool. If he's going to perform, I'm not going to really complain, but as soon as he starts struggling, guys, let's cut off this experiment quick.
It might be one of those situations where they're looking at the trade deadline right now, and they're thinking, well, bullpen's absolutely going to be a priority for us, but Pete Walker's like, wait, before we do anything, I think I can fix this guy, and we can get him for effectively free. I
just picture Pete Walker being that guy in the manager's room, guys. It's like that scene in Moneyball where it's who? And Pete Walker's like, him. Who's this guy? I never heard of him.
Everyone else is like, no, we can get Josh Hader. It's fine. He's like, no. Genesis Cabrera.
Yeah. What does he do? He throws lefty.
Yeah, literally. What? Okay, Pete, you'll get your time, and I think that's maybe what's going on right now. Is they're saying, listen, Pete, we're gonna give you a few games with this dude. If he comes out, if he dominates in the few games that he does play, maybe it's less of a priority for us to grab another bullpen arm at the trade deadline. That could be what's happening.
We'll see, folks. It's interesting.
Speaking of trade priorities, the biggest one that we've had for a long period of time, or at least what the management is saying, is going after and getting a starting pitcher. But one thing that's going to alleviate a little bit of those concerns is Hyun-Jin Ryu coming back from the dead. Can we get a little bit? Can we get a little bit of just a round of applause here for our man Hyun-Jin Ryu, who was looking like he was on his last leg in the MLB, and then got Tommy John.
I know.
And now, after clawing himself back in. I'm thinking like Rocky style montage of just being in the gym, dropping 30 pounds.
Oh yeah,
dropping 30 pounds. He is going to be back with these Toronto Blue Jays, and he's going to be back on Monday. That's tomorrow.
That's wild, man. That is wild. And I'm really curious, and I'm excited to see how he's going to perform. Obviously, we all remember when he was kind of at right before Tommy John, he was hurt, obviously. That's why he got Tommy John. So numbers were inflated. He was dealing with the sticky stuff from the year before, trying to adjust back to normal life. But a lot of pitchers, as we've seen, have adjusted back to their normal way of pitching. So I'm really curious to see what he's got in the tank this time around. And I'm also really curious to see how are they going to manage this rotation, because you got 5 men now with Alec Manoah came back last week. Got actually a pretty decent start today. And now you added Hyun-Jin Ryu. Now you're looking at like a 6-man rotation down the stretch, or do you think maybe we shove a Kikuchi or something to the bullpen? Like, what's your guess kind of here?
I think it really all depends on what Hyun-Jin Ryu comes out and shows us. You know, it's going to depend a lot on how he comes and just delivers in the first few games. But I'm going to say it right here, guys. I'm going to come out and I'm going to talk about it like right here, and I'm going to make this claim. I believe that after battling through all this adversity that Hyun-Jin Ryu has had to battle through, after literally fighting back, being late in like the back 9 of his career, I believe after going through all of that, all that conditioning, this dude's going to be back. I'm seeing 2.5 ERA for the stretch. 2.5 ERA, dude. This guy is going to be back to like Cy Young Ryu.
Dude, that is the trade acquisition that we never knew we needed. You know what I mean? That addition to the team, I could believe it, bro. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
You know what? I'm
drinking it.
I'll even say this too, because everybody's talking about Marcus Stroman. I think that Hyun-Jin Ryu is going to be better than Marcus Stroman in the remainder of the second half. That's what I'll say right now. It's like he's going to be that good because he's had to fight that much to get back in here, and no team, no lineup is going to be harder than battling back from Tommy John at his age and dropping 30 pounds.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Okay, speaking of Marcus Stroman, like if we add in Hyun-Jin Ryu to this rotation, like, are we even looking at a starting pitcher at this point?
Well, if he's going to be doing what we're saying that he's going to be doing, I don't think you have to, right? Because if he actually does that, where are you going to put a starting pitcher?
I know, but that's the thing too. It's like we actually only have like basically a little over a week to decide whether we need to add a starting pitcher.
Yes.
So it's like, if he starts this upcoming week, which we don't know if he's going to start or not. Is one outing going to be enough evidence to be like, okay, like we're good, we're not? It's really interesting to see how they're going to manage that.
I think that's why they're looking for a depth starter.
Exactly.
Because they don't want to fully commit, right? Because if you go balls to the wall, right, and if you do grab a Blake Snell, for instance, who's literally I realized this today, best ERA of qualified starters in the entire MLB.
There you go.
Right? So I mean, if he is on the trade block, he's going to command a pretty package. So you get this guy, he's obviously going to command a rotational spot.
Yeah.
But then if Ryu is also being as incredible as Ryu's being, you're like, oh shit, did we really need to spend all those prospects to get this guy? Because now we got doing this as well, and it becomes a bit of a logjam. But on the other hand, you don't want to not get anybody because, worst case scenario, Ryu's bad. Even worst case scenario, Gosman's hurt, or something like that goes down. You don't want to be like walking into September, walking into October, and having like 4 kind of healthy guys with no one else to play, right? So I think you need to get somebody. But you don't want to fire all your prospect bullets on the big fish if this guy can come out and do what we're saying.
Yeah, and you also got to kind of ask yourself, like, is this rotation good enough to compete in the postseason? Like, if I'm squaring up at 4 games against your 4 pitchers, I mean, just looking at the top 4 boys on our team right now in ERA, you got number 1 is Kevin Gausman, 318.
Yeah. Number 2
is Jose Barrios, 339.
Yeah.
Then you got Bassett, 392, and Kikuchi also 392. I mean, you got 4 guys under a 4 ERA. That's a solid enough attempt, I think, to have a run at a postseason.
Yo, can we go on Twitter very quickly right now and actually go to our Twitter? I tweeted this out straight up like 15, 20 minutes ago, everybody, and it kind of blew me away and put the entire season in perspective. You're talking about whether or not we're going to have a good enough team, where our starters are good enough. Flip over here. Toronto Blue Jays, after playing 100 games, because we're officially 100 games into the season right now, we are 55-45. We are 10 games above 500. I'll take that 10 times out of 10, man. I'll take that literally all the time.
100%.
We're ranked 10th in OPS, so good, above average, not exceptional, but good. But we're ranked 7th in ERA.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Oh,
ranked
yeah.
7th in ERA, and that
Dude.
kind of shocked me a little bit.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's like
Oh,
across
yeah.
the board as a team, we're pretty good. We're an above-average ball team, everybody. You look at that, we are an above-average ball team. So even though it's been an entire roller coaster, and maybe it hasn't felt like we are, an above-average top-tier team, look at the stats.
Dude,
we are.
For me, the ERA and the pitching staff has been really good, as of late. I think in the last month, I want to say, we were like top 1 or 2 in ERA in baseball. Like, we were coasting. Like, we've been doing really, really well. And that's why we launched that 7th spot in rankings. And I've always said this for many, many times. I'll take a 10th in OPS offense because we were number 1 for the longest time.
Yeah.
But guess what? Our ERA was like mid. It was like 15,
Yeah, if
16,
that.
if that. Like, we were lucky to have like a mid rotation. And guess what happened? We blew up games. We lost games late. Now we can actually shut them down with a bullpen. We can actually get a quality start. And anything we can get from our boys and that haven't even gotten hot yet.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Like, a lot of our offense isn't even fully here yet. So if you could turn that on as of late, Kirk is an example, Vladdy is an example. If you could turn those guys on, man, we're gonna have a great team.
Yeah, and I mean we're gonna get to their statistics from this past week in a second, everybody. But like, spoiler alert. They're doing pretty damn good. We need to shout out this donation very quickly from Willard Tallcree, $279 donation. Ryu with a beer. Dude, let me tell you, that guy deserves it based on what he has been doing right now. So thank you so much for Willard Tallcree. 178 people watching right now. Guys, if you haven't already done so, smash that like button. Let's see if we can bump this thing up to 69 likes. With Ryu coming back, this is the big question for the Toronto Blue Jays because we just sent Nate Pearson down. With Ryu coming back, he's on his way. You can also have Chad Green following him in a few weeks too. That's 2 guys being added, not to mention all of the potential trade pieces that we're going to bring in. Who the hell is leaving this ball team, man?
Bro, that is the big question right now. And I think at this point, there's no more avoiding it. Everyone's been calling for the man. Flip over to a roster here. You have to DFA.
You're done, man.
You can't.
You're done.
I don't see a reality where you can cut anybody else. I mean, look, Cabrera, he's got one option. I think you maybe test him out, see how he does. But here's my problem. I feel like they're gonna go, ooh, lefty, like we like this. We're gonna keep him.
It also doesn't make any sense for you to cut him at this point, considering you just brought him up.
So
they're gonna try him out.
So that's why I have a fear they're actually gonna keep him. But when Chad Green comes back, you got to get rid of Mitch White and Cabrera. Like, that's Jay Jackson. You got to keep. He has been solid for these Jays, and you ride that until the wheels fall off. And you obviously can't get rid of any of these guys. So for me, it's obvious. Cabrera and Mitch White. You get rid of Mitch White for Ryu, and then Cabrera, you get rid of him for Chad Green.
Mitch White is not going to be a Toronto Blue Jay starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll say that right now.
Tomorrow,
I can say
100%.
that with almost 100% certainty. Now, I say almost because they did surprise me with the Nate Pearson move today.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I can't be 100% sure. But I am 99% confident that tomorrow, by roughly 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Mitch White will be packing up his little Mitch White bags and trying to find another team because he's not going to be a Toronto Blue Jay.
He's going to be designated for assignment for sure. Do you think he gets picked up on the waiver? I think someone might pick him up.
It's possible.
He doesn't have any. Here's the thing. He has no options. That's the problem with Mitch White. He's exercised all his options, so someone has to actually start this guy. Put him on the team right away.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's going to happen for Mitch White. So I think he's going to get DFA'd. He's probably going to make his way through waivers. Yeah. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, he can find himself onto a ball club for next season.
Yeah, if he makes through waivers and no one picks him up, I mean, we're still going to hold on to him.
Yeah,
he'll still
that's
be
true.
In our minors.
That is true, actually. That is true, right? So, I mean, that's possible, right? And they're going to take that gamble because at the end of the day, you're just not producing enough. There is no spot on this team right now for Mitch White in the winning mentality that we have right now. Sorry, buddy. I liked you. I was very hyped when we brought you in and traded for you. Yeah. But a year later, it's not working out, and we need to get 30 pounds Hyunjin Slim Ryu coming back onto this freaking team.
I love it. All right, well, why don't we talk about this team and the recent week that we had?
Let's do it, man.
Obviously, 2-4. We didn't get our predictions at all. I mean, it's very hard that we're going to predict like this kind of week where teams that were below 500 to begin. And then we end up going 2-4. We are on the West Coast of things right now. I mean, maybe there's a factor there. We caught the Padres at the wrong time. But, overall, the boys didn't do too bad. Like, offensively, pitching, defensively, the boys definitely tried. Had some big competitive games there in Seattle. Honestly, it's a little sad standout here was Bo Bichette just kind of going quiet this week. 4 for 24, all singles, 7 strikeouts. We need him to keep it going, of
yes,
course.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
you know
do.
What I mean?
He's obviously been having a special season, and that needs it. We ride and die with Bo Bichette on this squad, man.
Absolutely.
The offense lives and dies by Bo this year, and when he goes, the Blue Jays go. So keep going, Bo.
Absolutely. We need a man in
bars.
And yeah, that is some bars. We also had a great performance from Mr. Chris Bassett. 6 innings, 0 earned runs. Gotta love to see it because he's been kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Like, don't really know what kind of start you're gonna get from him. And then you got Vladdy Daddy. I think now I'm starting to feel confidence. The power is back, baby. 3 home runs in this week. That is huge. And he launched one yesterday when we were at Real Sports Bar.
Yeah.
He launched one. He got all of that one. And then one today was opposite field home run.
Bro,
like, it really feels like he's starting to get the swing of things back.
I made a bold prediction that after he won the home run derby, that this dude was gonna have 21 home runs in the second half.
I believe it.
He might actually be on pace at this point because I think since
it.
the home run derby, it's like 5 or 6, so like pretty decent.
He's got a pretty decent amount.
I think 5 at this point.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lot. It's a lot. Well, he's been pretty good, and everybody else, again, everyone's just been doing their job, but we're gonna have to do a lot better in the upcoming week, folks. So why don't we name, before we talk about that, the J of the week, folks?
It is that time, everybody. Oh, the J of the week.
All right, this man, short sample size and a short man. Alejandro Kirk is your J of the week.
Hell yeah, dude. No bias on this show whatsoever. Listen, when there's an opportunity to give it to the captain, I'm going to give it to the captain. People have been on this guy for having a bad season. I'll be the first to admit, statistically speaking, the numbers just aren't there this year. But you know that it's in him. You know that it's there. And this whole year, right, has been kind of tough for the guy because he's been, dealing with playing time issues, him and Danny. He's been dealing with injuries on and off the whole time. But goddamn, did he look like himself? Did he look like all-star, over 1 million all-star votes, Alejandro Kirk this freaking week?
Yeah, he went 7 for 11, folks, and he had 1 strikeout, 2 walks, and he had a home run. You know what I mean? He had it. It was either going to be him or it's going to be Matt Chapman. I was up there. Someone said in the chat he's definitely an honorable candidate, but honestly, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with the 3 home runs. But the OPS points are there. Again, short sample size, but when you hit, 700 or just close to it, like, how can you not give it to him?
Yeah, exactly, man. So, I am, so fingers crossed that my dude is gonna be back. I have been in this guy's camp for the entire time. I will be with him until the day I die. Alejandro Kirk forever, man. This dude, he's hitting 500 for the remainder of the season.
I love it. All right, why don't we talk about the remainder of this upcoming week and give our predictions for it as well, Nick?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, the Toronto Blue Jays is gonna be starting with the LA Angels and
Dodgers.
Dodgers, excuse me. It is the Dodgers. Oh, yeah, that's right, because LA Angels is gonna be later in the week.
Yes.
Both LA teams, excuse me. We're gonna be starting with the Dodgers, which is obviously gonna be a tough one. They have absolutely picked it up. They started off the season kind of like mid, a little bit not achieving expectations, but they're all the way back, man. You knew it was gonna happen. The winning culture is there in LA. And it's going to be a tough one, man, in Dodger Stadium.
It is going to be tough. But we do have some pretty favorable pitching matchups this week. We got Jose Barrios leading off on Monday. He's going to be up against Grove with a 6.40 ERA. So that's something right there. Chris Bassett, he's up there at 3.92 ERA up against Urias, who's having a weird year, man.
Yeah.
A weird year. 5.02
all
ERA.
over the place there.
Just I don't know what happened. He was so good. And then you have Yusei Kikuchi again, 3.92 ERA, up against Tony Gonsolin. Actually, he's doing pretty solid, 3.94 ERA. We're on the road, Nick. What are you saying?
It's going to be a tough one, man, because these Dodgers just know how to win baseball games. They just know how to win baseball games, right? And, I mean, it's hard to predict that we're going to walk in there and win 2 out of 3 or win 3 out of 3 after going 4-2 or 2-4, excuse me, against the Padres and the Mariners. That being said, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to say that we win 2. I'm going to say that we win the first 2 in LA, and then we do drop that last one. Gonsolin comes out, and he does dominate the Blue Jays a little bit. But I'm saying that we win the first 2, baby.
I think this Seattle Mariners, series kind of just changed our mindset as a Blue Jay. You know, if I'm a Blue Jay, I just played some playoff games right there. That was some high-level playoff games. And we're going no stopping. We're going down south. We're playing the Dodgers, some more high competitive games, close games. I think we're going to have that mindset and actually win 2 out of 3 as well. And we got the good pitching matchups. And I think, our bodies are going to be adjusted to the West Coast now all the time. And we're going to win.
2 out of 3, baby. 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. Then off day on Thursday, and we are coming all the way back home. And an LA team is going to be following us as well. We're going to have the Angels coming back starting on Friday, and they got the great unicorn himself, Shohei Ohtani. I'm just excited to actually watch that game in general, man, because getting to see Shohei Ohtani in action is truly phenomenal. And he's gonna be pitching against us.
He's gonna be pitching against us, and he's gonna be pitching right now. It is up against Kevin Gausman. I think that would be a good matchup. And they're gonna leave it that way. And then on Saturday, then we don't really know. Is Ryu gonna come up? Is he not gonna come up? Is he gonna start a game for us? We don't know. So it could be a Ryu in here, or it could be Alec Manoah. We stick to our schedule, and then on Sunday we would pitch Berrios. And then for them, the rest of the series, they've got Anderson on Saturday, 5.23 ERA, and then Canning 4.52.
Yeah.
What are you saying? We're back home.
I think you gotta win 2 here, man. You come back home, you get that day off, which is nice. Bullpen's gonna be rested, and this is directly before the trade deadline too. And looking ahead, the week following this is gonna be a tough one, guys. Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox, they have our freaking number. We gotta pick up dubs against these 2 LA teams, and I think that we do it. We go 4-2 in the week.
Bro, I think I'm gonna say something blasphemous when we sweep the Angels.
5-1.
We go 5-1 because you brought it to me. Ohtani has been pitching his best. We're gonna have Ryu back. There's a resurgence, right? The trade deadline's around the corner. We've just played some of the most competitive ball in our life this last week. We're back home. We're feeling good. The summer's there. We're gonna sweep, and then we're gonna be launching.
Listen,
up the
man,
standings.
if it's like the 4th inning and Ohtani's just dicing us on Friday, make the trade, have him switch jerseys. Just, if you can't beat him, have him join you. He's dicing us in the 4th. You know where this game's going. Screw it. Let's just make the trade. He's on our team now,
I love that, man. All right, guys, that is your predictions for the upcoming week, and we also got to make some predictions on our own end. So now, before we do, folks, we got to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video.
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Spinning, fortune, baseball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It is, in fact, a wheel that we spin every single week, everybody. Before we do the recap on the wheel for the 190 people watching, guys, we are going to be ramping up the content, covering the trade deadline across the board. Lots of live streams. We got a week to go until all the big names get shipped off. So if you haven't already done hit the like, smash the subscribe button, and just mark it in your calendars. The Blue Jays today is going to be covering freaking all of them.
Guys, we're doing a live stream on the trade deadline all day long, so you don't want to miss it. That's going to be a fun one,
I got it off of work. It's going to be freaking phenomenal, everybody. Let's look over at the wheel. Adam, you took 2 against me. It was the bonus player that saved the day for you, because Berrios was pretty good, but Bassett was just a little bit better.
He was.
Bichette had a horrible week, so you're going to take that one. Then the RBIs, Merrifield, good, but not as good as Mr. Vladdy Daddy.
Exactly. I was really banking on the Merrifield, but just going to come up clutch. He had 3 home runs. When you have 3 home runs, you're going to have a lot of RBIs.
You're going to have a lot of ribbies. So Guerrero back in the pecking order when it comes to the wheel, baby. And I might have to consider that today, because it is my picks this week. First spin, everybody. Where is it going to be?
Guys, you know what it is. Let us know in the comments who you're picking for this wheel. It might influence us.
Give me the bonus player. I have not spun the bonus player for myself yet, and it is ERA starters. ERA starters. It feels pretty locked in for me that I want to do this, even though we did have a bad start this past one. Who's he going up? He's going up against the Angels, eh?
Angels, yeah.
I mean, that feels like a good W. Give me Kevin Gausman. Give me Kevin Gausman. Ride until the wheels fall off, baby. That's what it's going to be.
Well, you know what? Even though he is up against the Dodgers, you know, I got to go with the guy who's next on this list. It's just Jose Berrios has just been on another planet right now this
Berrios
week.
has been phenomenal,
You know what
man.
I mean?
Bassett's a good selection, too, but... he's kind of been up and down, right?
Yeah.
It's one start incredible,
Exactly.
one start not so much, right? So I do think the Berrios is probably the right selection.
He's
there.
consistent. You know, it just feels like every time it's like, you know, 1-2 earned runs,
Mm-hmm.
a 5-6 innings pitch. Like, it's like, okay, it's consistent.
You know, I feel like, and pause the wheel for a second, but I feel like we are not appreciating Jose Berrios enough this season.
No, we're not.
He's really fallen under the radar. You know, like we're talking about how bad Alek Manoah has been. We're talking about how good Kevin Gausman's been. We're talking about Ryu's comeback. But Jose Berrios is very quietly pitching with a 3.39 ERA right now. This is everything that I wanted when we made the trade
100%.
and when we signed him long term. Last year, toss it in the garbage can. It's been burned. It's been forgotten. This is the Jose Berrios that we went out and we traded for.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. Because, you know what? You're right. We don't give him
enough credit,
Shout
man.
out to
He's been
Berrios.
phenomenal this year.
Shut him out.
Next spin, everybody. What is it going to be?
Ooh.
Give me the bonus players. Still have not spun
It's
one for
gonna
myself yet.
go past
Nah, just pass
RBIs.
it. Ribbies.
Okay,
What do I
okay.
want to do here? See, I'm not super comfortable. I'm just not comfortable, like, going first on this one, but I mean, like, Guerrero has obviously been pretty good. There's so many guys that could be good with the RBIs, right? There's so many dudes that, like, could pop off at any given moment.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, Bo had a bad week, but does that mean that Bo's gonna have a bad week this week?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? It's really, it is a tough one to say. But Guerrero's nice.
Chapman, Guerrero, like, those are the boys. Yeah. Those are kind of the boys.
But, like, Vlad does feel like that first overall selection here. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'll let you go first.
I will be taking Vlad.
Yeah.
Feels like he's starting to heat up a bit.
Yeah.
He's in that RBI spot. So we'll
That
go.
does feel right, man. That does feel right. Now, do I want to go with Brandon Belt? Now, the only thing that I worry about with Brandon Belt is the playing time.
Yeah.
Is the playing time with Brandon Belt? Because you see, he doesn't get everyday starts. You know, he'll probably play like 80% of the games, maybe. You know, 80% of the games. Matt Chapman's also a decent selection.
He's not bad. I was going to pick him if you went with Vladdy.
Yeah, I'll go Matt Chapman. I'll go Matt Chapman.
He's
Hope
back,
for the
baby.
best, man.
He's back. He's been having a great month.
We get the April Matt Chapman back. Like, that would just be such a boost to this team.
Oh, 100%.
Such a boost to this team if we can get that April Chapman back.
Tom's like, if you like Kirknick, then pick him.
Dude, I actually, if he was starting consistently,
I would be picking
I
Kirk.
actually might consider picking, because I do think that he's back, dude. I do think he's back, but we're still not confirmed yet. Oh, you know what we didn't even talk about?
What?
Danny Jansen.
Oh,
Injury
he's
today.
okay. He's going to be okay.
It is okay
It's
now.
going to be okay. Yeah.
There you go, everybody. We got you covered on that one. All right, guys. So I am going to be selecting first on this next spin. I had to let you go first on that one because if it's K's for or anything like that.
And it's going to be walks for the batters.
See, this one I actually don't give a crap about.
Yeah, like, hey, Bichette 3 walks, Springer 4 walks, Belt 3 walks, Vladdy 3 walks, Chapman 3 walks. Those are kind of all the main guys.
Yeah, I actually hate the walk one. Like, it's all over the place.
It's all over.
It's all over the place, man. I mean, Springer's not a bad selection.
He's not bad.
He does walk pretty consistently.
And you know what? Belt, even though he strikes out a lot, he does walk a lot, too.
He does walk as well, man. He does walk as well. I am good. What do I want to do here?
It is tough.
This is such a tough one, man. Like, anyone could win this freaking category.
Literally.
Anyone could win this category. Springer.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. I mean, because he for me consistently walks the most. The one I'm worried about is like Vladdy. He could have like a big strikeout week.
Yeah.
Chapman has been working walks more, but I don't feel consistent. Belt again, playing time. Like, are you gonna get it? Like, he had 3 last week. I think I'll just go. Ah, man, it's tough. It is tough. It's because I don't. If I pick Vladdy for RBI, then it's like less RBI opportunities. Oh God, I don't like it. But I feel like I'm
put you in a tough spot here.
I know. I feel like I'm kind of handcuffed though. Like Bichette, I know is not going to walk.
No, he never walks.
He never walks. Belt actually walks a bunch.
It's the same thing though. It's like, do you trust the playing time?
I don't trust the
Like,
playing
you know?
time. I don't trust that Chapman's gonna walk.
Chapman's not gonna work, dude. Again, if
So-
Kirk was playing consistently,
Yeah, I would pick Kirk.
I would pick Kirk first overall. Here.
I would pick Kirk. So I'm kind of forced into picking Vladdy here because I do think he's gonna compete in the walks.
He'll
like
compete.
even if he's getting like, hey, like he had 3 last week and still drove in 4 RBIs, you know?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right, everybody. Those are our selections for the wheel. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys would be selecting, who you're riding with for this week. Adam slowly starting to creeping his way back in there. Starting to make it a little bit more competitive. I got to actually start playing now. I've been like brain turned off the last few weeks. You know? So I might have to come back into this thing. But guys, if you haven't already done so, smash that like button. Comment down below your thoughts on everything that we talked about today. Hit the subscribe button. Like we said before, so much content on the way. Talking trades, talking trade deadline. We're going to be live literally all of the trade deadline. So mark that in your calendar. August 1st, 9 a.m. till close, baby. The boys are going to be going. I'm going to have the beers flowing too. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a good one, dude.
Guys, so please hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching.
And as always, go Jays, go!